Hi, I've got a John Deere 14SB lawnmower that's about 30 years old, and I've had to repair it a couple times. It's a great lawnmower except for the weak point, which is the blade brake control. There's a small lever that is the weak point itself. Within that control, and it's very thin plastic, and it's under some stress at times, and it can crack and break, and then you lose some of the functionality that was intended for that blade brake control, and it can jam in such a way that you can't actually engage the blade. So I've taken it apart a few times over the years, but this time I hope I've fixed it more permanently by trying different methods. So I didn't see anything on YouTube that helped me at all. So forgive my trimmer. I got a trimmer that makes me shake a little bit. I hope that doesn't bother anybody. And I hope that the video itself will be helpful to somebody else who doesn't want to go out and spend $150, $160 on a whole new blade brake control. They're getting hard to find, so they're just going to get more expensive. So it's, if we can fix our own, let's do it. Okay, here's the disassembled blade brake control. It's in two pieces. You need to pry it apart. The thing is, you'll find there's a screw that goes in right here and holds it together. So be sure you spot that screw and remove it, or you'll try to prying this apart, you're liable to break the case itself. You don't want to do that. I have this clamp on here to help hold this inner unit in place because there's a strong spring underneath there. The strong spring can be the problem when it comes to reassembling this. So I won't go to that, remove this and try to reassemble it for you. Again, it's you need 3 hands. Briefly regarding that, let's just say the slots in here that the safety handle engages can be useful by taking a large screwdriver like this one, clamp this part of the assembly in a good sized vise, hopefully with rubber sleeves around it, so that or you can cushion it with cloth or something, as long as it holds it firmly without cracking the plastic case. That way you've got your third hand as a vise. The vise is the third hand, that's what I'm trying to say. And then you've got this hand free. A large screwdriver is needed to turn this by putting it in a slot, but it's got to be big enough blade that you can also hold this unit down so it wants to pop back out of there because it's under spring tension. So once you get the spring assembled under there, you're putting it back together. Take note of which way this cog goes down in there, and you've got to turn it with the screwdriver, and a big enough screwdriver that it won't go all the way through the slot. That way you can actually push down on it to counteract the effect of the spring wanting to pop this out. So you've got to push it down and turn it until you can get this down in where it belongs, with it on this side of this tab sticking out here. Okay, I will release the clamp temporarily here. And you can see it wants to move if I let go of it. It's allowed to come out of there. But this is where you would put it. You put this in a vise. Make sure it's held firm but not enough to break anything. Put this in that slot. Turn and push down to keep it in place. Turn it
until you can get this to drop down on this side of this tab. Now, let's talk about the real problem here is this little guy. The weak point is this thin plastic ring. It fits in this way over this sleeve, like so, and turns like that. And this tab that's on it, right here, engages this tab on this device, which is a locking mechanism for your safety setup. So it pushes this back, and I'll show you here. Let's put it back together. This part I've epoxied in several places. Hopefully it'll hold this time, but as you can see, in order to make it go over this sleeve like so, after epoxying it, I had to take the Dremel and grind down a lot of this epoxy and make it fit. Well, that weakens this whole thing. So once the possible solution I'm going to try this time is I've taken and ground down the sleeve itself all the way around. And also the inside part, I don't know if you can see this on camera. This housing, plastic housing right around here, if you take the Dremel, it is a tungsten carbide cutter, number 9931, and it will go down part way at least into this and grind both the sleeve down and the inside of that housing. And don't overdo it, but by making that smaller and this gap wider, it makes this part go down in there and turn like it's supposed to, even with the epoxy in place. So the big spring is underneath this unit. It engages this hole here, not this one. It engages this hole from underneath. There's a plastic pin that stands up from this body part, and the spring, the other end of the spring hooks around it. The first time I tried to reassemble it a few days ago, I had that hook over here around a different part, and the spring wasn't in the right location. When I put it all back together and tried to make the thing work, it wouldn't work. So I took it all apart again. This thing broke anyway again, so I had to redo the epoxy. And then while I had it apart, I reconfigured where that spring had to go, and it goes around a pin that's coming from the body, sticks up. It doesn't go around it as a loop, it's just a hook, and it hooks around it like that. The other end of the spring has to go in this hole, not this hole. And if you put this in a vise, you take this screwdriver, push it down like that, and turn this whole thing like that. You can come around to a point and hold it while you slip this cog down where it belongs on this side of this tab. This thing here goes underneath like that. Let me get it over here. push the spring down till it's set. Then you put this in like so, and you can see where this riser tab on this lever engages that tab on this metal lock piece. Make sure that everything's down where it belongs. When you turn this back here, you can see these 3 slots. Maybe you can't see them too well. There's 3 slots there. Comes back, it engages that one. If you have that up back like that, you can turn it all the way back and it'll engage that one. Now, you can't push that lever back and engage the mower deck, the blade on the mower deck, without pressing this down to disengage it. And there's an arm, part of the safety arm reaches down and disengages it when you close the safety arm on the handlebar itself. That way, in order to engage the mower, you have to hold that safety bar down against the handlebar. You can't, and when you're standing up there doing that, you can't get your hand underneath the mower deck and cut your fingers off or anything. So it's a safety mechanism. It works. Like I say, the weakest point of this entire lawnmower is this thin plastic that goes around this piece here. So that's how that goes together. Hopefully I've said enough here that if you have a lawnmower of that style, of this kind of, and apparently this is a common assembly, hopefully this will help you take it apart and do the hard part, which is using 3 hands to get it all back together. Like I say, if you use a good bench vise to hold this part, you've got 2 hands free. Then use a big screwdriver that'll engage that slot but not fit all the way down through it. That way you can push down, turn with this hand, and insert this piece into the slot that's made for it so that it's engaged on the proper side of this tab. Hopefully this will help you if you've got this lawnmower. Thanks for watching.